Julius Caesar was undoubtedly one of the most famous Romans to ever live, if not the most famous. He is often portrayed in films and other media as an evil dictator who murdered his way to power and oppressed the Roman people. In reality, though, Caesar's story was far more complex than that and had a much greater impact on world history. So who was Julius Caesar, and why does he still matter today? It's me. Welcome to my channel. You know, we all learn about Julius Caesar in school, and we know that he was stabbed to death by a group of senators on the Ides of March in 44 BC. But outside of this basic fact, most people don't know much about Caesar or why he is still so important over 2,000 years later. Julius Caesar was born on July in 100 BC to a patrician family, meaning they were part of the landowning upper class. His father died when he was just 8 years old, and his mother then married off both Caesar and his older brother to influential Roman women. This was a common practice at the time as a way of forming alliances with other wealthy families. Caesar was married to Cornelia, but she quickly became hated for her extravagance and profligacy, and was eventually driven out of Rome. When Caesar was still just a teenager, he joined the military and fought several successful campaigns in his early 20s. He gained further political clout thanks to a series of strategic marriages which saw him wed first to his cousin Julia, then to Pompeia, the daughter of one of Rome's most powerful men. However, his third marriage to Calpurnia was the one that produced heirs. They were married for 13 years and had a son and 2 daughters together. In 69 BC, Caesar was elected Pontifex Maximus, or head of the College of Pontiffs, which was a powerful religious office in Roman society. He was also appointed to the important role of sole consul in 59 BC. It was during this year that Caesar formed an influential alliance with 2 other members of the first triumvirate, Pompey and Crassus. The 3 men shared power between them for a number of years, but after Crassus died in 53 BC, it was clear that there would be a power struggle between the other 2. Pompey had previously been one of Caesar's best friends, but their relationship turned sour after Pompey took offense to Caesar's decision to marry Pompeia. When Caesar was forced to divorce her following her implication in a plot against his life, things became even worse. By 58 BC, the pair were openly hostile to each other, and the rivalry culminated in Caesar declaring war on Pompey. The civil war lasted for 4 years and resulted in thousands of deaths. Ultimately, however, Caesar emerged victorious and went on to defeat Pharnacus, 2 of Pontus at the Battle of Zela in 47 BC, an event which inspired one of Caesar's most famous quotes, Veni Vitae Vici, or I came, I saw, I conquered. After returning to Rome in 46 BC, Caesar began his long process of reforming the city. The following year, he was appointed Dictator Perpetuo, or Dictator for life. This gave him absolute power over Rome and its citizens, and made him virtually a godlike figure. The Senate viewed this move as a blatant grab for power, and many senators plotted against Caesar, believing it was their duty to protect the Republic from what they viewed as a tyrannical ruler. On March 15, 44 BC, as Caesar was walking through the Senate house, he was attacked by a group of senators and stabbed multiple times. Although the assassins had hoped that Caesar's death would restore the Republic, the opposite happened and Rome plunged into chaos. Octavian, Caesar's adopted son and heir, took his revenge on the conspirators, killing or forcing into exile those he deemed responsible for Caesar's murder. Most people have heard of Caesar's assassination and the famous line spoken by one of the conspirators, Marcus Junius Brutus, "Et tu, Brute," supposedly uttered by Caesar as he was stabbed by his close friend. Although the story is popular, historians believe it may not be accurate. Cassius Dio wrote that Caesar was actually stabbed more than 20 times and was still alive when he went to the Forum to speak to the crowd. But Caesar's biographer, Plutarch, claimed that he was killed instantly and never even drew his sword in defense. According to Plutarch, Caesar had a vision of his impending murder 4 days prior, and even told his wife Calpurnia not to allow him to go to the Senate house on the 15th, because an evil spirit was signaling his death. Caesar ultimately decided to go anyway, claiming he would rather die having failed to do his duty than die in bed like a coward. Over the next few decades, Octavian defeated his enemies and established himself as the first emperor of Rome, taking the title Augustus. Under his rule, Rome entered a period of peace and prosperity known as the Pax Romana, which lasted for 2 centuries. Augustus was followed by a long line of emperors who ruled the Roman Empire at its peak. In terms of size and wealth, Rome controlled much of the modern-day Mediterranean region and stretched as far as Britain, Spain, and North Africa. During the rule of the Caesars, Rome's infrastructure expanded dramatically. The most famous Roman emperor was probably Nero, who infamously set fire to Rome in 64 AD. The blaze lasted for 6 days and destroyed a huge portion of the city, but it allowed Rome to be rebuilt in a more spectacular fashion. Over the next 200 years, Roman emperors commissioned the construction of aqueducts, roads, public buildings, amphitheaters, libraries, forums, and even entire cities. Some emperors were better known for their military prowess, such as Trajan, who famously expanded Rome to its greatest extent. Others were known for their attempts to reform the empire, such as Hadrian, who attempted to limit the power of the Senate. By the time the Western Roman Empire fell in 476 AD, Rome had left a lasting legacy on the world. Latin became the common language throughout much of Europe. Roman law influenced the legal systems of many countries, and Roman architecture and engineering are studied to this day. But why should we care about Julius Caesar? Well, for starters, he is one of the most famous figures in ancient history, even 2 millennia after his death. This is partly due to William Shakespeare's play about his life and the many film adaptations of the bard's work. But Caesar's enduring popularity is also due to the fact that he was an ambitious leader who rose above humble beginnings to become the most powerful man in the world. He is often seen as a tragic hero, someone who accomplished great things but was ultimately brought down by his own ambition or the jealousy of others. Regardless of how you feel about Caesar, there is no denying that he was one of the most influential figures in ancient history, and his story is still relevant today. After Caesar's assassination, Rome became an empire ruled by emperors instead of elected officials. For centuries afterwards, the Roman rulers were viewed as nothing more than bloodthirsty tyrants who cared only about themselves. However, this view began to change in the 18th century when the true extent of Roman achievements became apparent to scholars. Now, Rome is widely viewed as one of the most influential civilizations in history, and the accomplishments of its leaders are celebrated around the world. We tend to remember the good while forgetting the bad. And although Caesar was undoubtedly a flawed leader, his contributions to Rome and the spread of Roman culture should not be forgotten. So what do you think? Does Julius Caesar deserve his reputation as one of the greatest Romans to ever live? Do you think he would have become a tyrant if he hadn't been assassinated? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And be sure to subscribe if you want to see more videos about ancient Rome. Thanks for watching. Until next time.